Welcome to the E-Hunter Podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Taryn Hunt, back again with another great podcast for you. This will be a fun one. This is going to be more of an entertainment one. It'll be exciting, and I'm actually interested to hear your guys' thoughts. So this is going to be one that I want your guys' input on as we go through this. Share with me, whether you agree with us or whether you don't agree with us. So I got Chad back on the podcast with me again. What's up, Chad?
Hey, I must have passed the test the first time.
You did.
You welcomed me back.
You did. Man, I heard a little bit of echo in there. Are we going to talk a little bit, Chad?
My echo? Or no?
A little bit. Not bad, though.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to bother anybody. But, yeah, dude, you passed the test.
Oh, good.
We made it through one podcast. I think you're going to have to get used to this.
That'll be fun.
This is fun. This is a good time. And, these podcasts are a lot of fun. I don't know. I feel like they're entertaining, and, I think people like to hear that. Passes the time a little bit.
Yeah, a great podcast is just talking about cool stuff.
Talking about the things we like, right?
Yeah, things that yep.
Well, this is definitely something that we like, and so we're gonna jump into it. If you guys haven't checked out the last podcast that Chad and I did together, make sure and go back and listen to that podcast. That was a lot of fun. We shared a lot of good information on how to travel with guns and traveling to hunt, and whether that be here locally within the United States or going abroad, which is coming up pretty soon. So again, I guess I should say I've never traveled outside the country to hunt. Chad has.
Yeah, I've driven to Canada.
Well, that's outside the country.
That's true. That is outside the country. So.
Yeah, I guess that is the only one, huh? I was thinking that you did another one, but
Alaska feels like another country.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I keep thinking Alaska's a different country, but
it's not. Yeah.
It's not. But that was a heck of a trip. So feels like an outside the country. But this one we got coming up is going to be a doozy. It's going to be a lot of learning and a lot of fun in New Zealand. But we wanted to bring a fun podcast to you guys, talking about our top 5 game animals, and this is going to be, I don't know, it might be a little controversial of who has what on their list. I'm interested to see if we have the same one as number 1.
Yeah, we don't know each other's lists.
We don't know each other's lists.
Yeah.
I have a feeling our number 1 is going to be the same, but I don't know. Maybe not.
Just to clarify, this is like top 5 hunts, not necessarily top 5 like wish list hunts.
Top 5. Well, both. I guess I should say this is just top 5. Like maybe these are hunts that you've already done, or animals that you've already hunted, or maybe animals that you want to hunt. So it could be a dream hunt, or it could be or
one that you've done. You're like, I would do that again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay,
exactly. Cool. So top 5 animals. So that's another thing. It's got to be animals, not because I think like hunting deer in Utah versus hunting deer in Alaska. Maybe 2 different things. Or hunting elk in Utah versus hunting elk in Alaska might be 2 different things as well. So
yeah, but elk is elk. I guess deer, you could say mule deer versus Sitka.
Yeah.
So
those would be 2 different animals. 2 different species, I guess I should say.
True.
So, but I guess what I'm trying to say is make sure it's specific to the species. That makes sense?
Roosevelt or Rocky Mountain elk.
Yeah, that'd be 2 different species.
All right.
So if you have Rosies on your list, I'm gonna be impressed.
I don't.
Okay, me either. And now I've got to clarify my list a little bit. But this is going to be fun, so I hope you guys enjoy this, and just like I said, I'd love to know your guys' thoughts on whether you agree with my list, which is definitely going to be better than Chad's, or if you like Chad's list, then you can comment on that too. But we'll share some stories as we go through this and talk a little bit about the different hunts that we've done, or maybe even hunts that we're looking at. We're both kind of researchers and looking to hunts all the time, and so we can talk about some of these hunts. Like for me, moose is something I want to do, and I just spoiled it. It's on my list.
Hey,
but
it's not on your lists. I don't know. I think it should be on everybody's.
You got 5. Issues.
Yeah.
But so I've done research on where I want to go and do that, and so we'll talk a little bit about that and just share some experiences and have a lot of fun.
Well, there's going to be controversy on not only species, there's going to be controversy on the order.
Yeah. Well, I think that's going to be the most controversy is where
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see what you have for number 1.
It's like the Dude Perfect video when they argued on the order of cereal.
Oh, yeah, the top 10.
Yeah, the top 10.
Oh, man, that dude's top 10 every single time.
I know. He does that just for...
You think so?
I don't know.
Like what?
Honey O's. Honey O's was the top one.
Yeah, like who puts Honey O's as the top cereal?
Yeah, especially over yeah, there's some
like
good ones.
Trix, Lucky Charms. I mean, come on.
I don't know about Trix, but like,
what? You don't like Trix?
Oh, that's okay, but
oh, I love Trix.
I mean, there's some better cereals out there.
What's your number one? Look at this rabbit hole.
Yeah. That's a good question. I don't eat a lot of cereal anymore.
What about candy? What's your number one candy?
I've always been a Skittles guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've always liked Skittles.
Man, mine's Reese's. And it can be anything in the Reese's line. It can be the Reese's
my quip against Reese's, it's like you get a Snickers bar, there's like some substance there.
Yeah.
You get a Reese's, you get 2 little tiny cups and it's gone.
That's why you get the big cups.
Yeah.
When they came out with big cups, that was a game changer. And then they put Reese's Pieces in the big cups. I'm a fat kid, man.
That's true. They actually have caramel in them now too.
I know. I actually had one of those 2 days ago. After my marathon night, that's what I had. It was one of those.
Oh,
it
yeah?
was so good.
Get a little blood sugar spike?
Yeah. It was what I needed, man. It was so good.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is gonna be a little controversial to see what number. I mean, the whole order is gonna be interesting, but number one I think is gonna be the most controversial because never mind, I won't even say it. But now I'm kind of thinking there's I wish we were doing top 10 because there's so many animals that I want to put on that list. Trying to narrow it down to 5 is kind of tough.
Yeah. I'm glad you told me this ahead of time because I had to give a little bit of thought.
Yeah. Well, I had 3 on there, but. Which were pretty. I mean, yeah. Okay, let's kick this off because I'm curious now. I really want to know what you got on there. So let's start with number 5, and then we'll go to number 1. So what is your 5th big game species?
All right, so this is one I have not done, but I want to one day. I think the reason is it's an apex predator. So I've got grizzly.
Really?
I do.
Ooh, that's a dream hunt right there.
That is a dream hunt.
Ooh.
But I think that would be a serious, like, adrenaline rush, fun hunt.
So let me ask you this. Why, okay, I mean, grizzlies are cool. Yeah. But isn't bear hunting?
I don't know, though. I think that would be different.
There's something that sets grizzlies apart from just a nice
Just because I think, I grew up in Wyoming, grew up in grizzly country, been out there. There's something different when you're out hunting and you could be hunted.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Black bears, they're gonna come around as curious.
Yeah, they could mess you up if
they could if you get in the wrong spot at the wrong time. But they're not out there, grizzly bears. I mean, there's been plenty of times I've been in the backcountry and you're like, okay, there's someone else here.
Yeah.
So I think to me that just kind of feels like I said, it's an apex predator, kind of one of those things. I thought it'd be it'd be a cool hunt.
That's a controversial hunt too.
It's a very controversial one right now.
People that don't think you should be hunting grizzly bears.
Yes. So
I think you should be hunting grizzly bears. I think everybody should be hunting.
They need to be managed. They're predators like anything else. And you talk to anybody in Wyoming, and they're like, "There's a problem."
Yeah.
And. So hopefully soon, actually when I was up there black bear hunting a couple years ago, they were doing studies. We ran into biologists and they were trapping black grizzlies and doing all that stuff.
Trapping grizzlies?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Really? We would walk up certain drainages and there'd be signs posted saying, "Hey, beware, we have a grizzly bear trap up the way."
Oh really?
Yeah, there's huge shipping containers they bring out there and they'll put like a deer carcass in there or something and they'll get those grizzlies and they're doing studies, studying them, what's going on.
I know there was a hot minute there where they were doing like a grizzly bear hunt in.
No, they did, yeah,
Wyoming.
And it got shut down. Yeah,
they're not. Did they ever actually do it?
No, and we can ask Levi about this, but I think he knew, and he may have even had a tag. But yeah, no, it was legalized for a brief moment.
And I remember it was just for residents that could go and hunt them, and it was.
But then I think, the environmentalists got a hold of it and got it shut down last minute. But so that was the reason they were redoing the studies. Was part of that lawsuit was, okay, we need to redo this and resubmit and redo all this. And I think they're on the brink of getting something allowed. But
so where would you want to hunt grizzly bears?
Probably Alaska. I think that's probably the only place you can get them.
You saw Yukon. Well, I guess we all saw the grizzly bear from the airplane on the way back.
That was okay.
In Alaska. You saw the one while we were out there hunting caribou.
Yeah, a long ways away.
Still though.
Yeah, those are Kodiaks. Those are a whole nother.
I guess that's true. That's not really a grizzly, but
no, they're grizzly.
Well,
but yeah,
aren't they Kodiak brown bear? Not what they're really
probably considered. Yeah,
but still a big animal.
Yeah, the largest.
Yeah, it's like a VW bus walking across. That one on the side of the hill when we were flying back, like that thing was huge.
Yeah, you can definitely see them. There's a lot of them out there.
Yeah,
and those aren't as aggressive, just because they have they eat so many berries, so much fish, things like that. People, you still gotta be careful.
Right.
The ones in Wyoming and Montana and Idaho and that, those are not to be messed with for sure.
It's funny with bear hunting, like I was saying, like the difference between grizzly bear hunting and other so I've been watching Brian Call's Gritty films, and him and Lampers do a lot of bear hunting. I think I'd be happy just going to Idaho and hunting bears like they do. I think that would be fun grizzly's cool, but I don't think I'd be too picky.
I think that would be a hunt that would be cool to go do, and then once we do it, okay, we check.
You're not gonna not have to go back
I don't
and do
know. Who knows? Maybe it's such a great time. We're like, we got to do that again.
I'm kind of thinking it's that way with bear hunting for me in general. I think hunting bear, I do want to kill a bear. That's definitely on my bucket list. But I think once I do it once, I'm good.
Yeah. Maybe, who knows?
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe I'll get the bug and
we need to do it. Figure it out.
Need to do it. Put it on the list.
It is on the list.
Yeah.
Time.
Number 5 on the list, actually.
Well, yeah, I don't know when that one will actually happen. I think those are spendy. Those might be out of the budget. That would take a long time to convince the wife of that one.
That one might be tough. But bears, we need to put bears on the list.
Yeah,
for sure.
Black bears we can definitely do.
Yeah, we can find that. Again, going back to our podcast last time talking about Idaho, we need to do some research on Idaho.
Yeah,
and what we can do there. All right, so number 5 on my list. So this one changed for me because. Well, Seth and I did a podcast a while ago talking about dream hunts and whatnot, and this one would have actually been sheep for me. So I don't have sheep on my list. Is number 5, and honestly, because I had the top 3 on my list, and I just wrote the 4 and 5 down. But we've been talking about our Alaska hunt, and blacktail actually goes on that list for me now.
There you go.
It is kind of one of those ones where I've done it, I've checked the box, and I really don't know that I would have to do that again. But that was such a fun hunt. Like getting up in those mountains in Kodiak and hunting those, and I don't know, they're like little ghosts too. Like they were there for 1 minute and then they're gone the next minute because they're not a huge animal, and I don't know, it was just so much fun. And then the meat that was another thing that was good on that. Yeah. That meat was amazing.
And the good thing about the Sitka is they were high up there. They were in rough country, but it was accessible country.
Yeah,
it was doable.
Yeah.
It was just so steep. I agree. I think that'd be fun to, we were out there obviously on a caribou hunt. So the blacktail was kind of the secondary option we had.
It wasn't really the focus of our hunt.
Worked well that one night we were there. But yeah, it'd be interesting to go on a blacktail focused hunt and see how different that would be.
I don't know that I like to do it the way that we did it. Yeah. Like, how, because we went with Kodiak Charters and they have like the ones where basically you go in the boat and shoot them down while they're next to the shore. I don't know that would be as fun.
No. I'd want to hunt.
Yeah. I want to get up, do the hiking like we did, glassing like we did, like hunt them how we hunt.
Well, and they even mentioned that. They said, hey, you can hunt blacktail, but really until the leaves come down, you'll never find them.
Right.
And they're so high up there. But once the leaves come off, then you can actually glass them up, spot them, and really do a hunt.
Right.
So.
Well, and that's what I was talking to, was it Mateo? Was that his name?
Yeah.
He's a listener of the podcast, so he's going to be pissed that I didn't know his name. But
Bros and Arrows.
Yeah, that's what I know him by. Bros and Arrows. But anyways, that's what he was saying, and he always waits till later in the year to go back and hunt blacktail. And he's shot some nice ones.
He has shot some nice ones. Yeah, there's some
really nice ones. But that's what he said. Wait till the leaves fall off. That way, you can see them. It's a lot easier to glass them up and actually hunt. But then it's also super cold at that time of the year as well.
Yeah. So the weather can be definitely a variable.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So 5 for me, blacktail, just mainly because of the experience that we had together, and just that was awesome. And I would recommend anybody go do that. That was exciting. Okay. Number 4. What do you got for number 4?
Brooks Range caribou. That I've just, I think again, this might be one where the animal's a little byproduct, but the fact of the experience of doing that. I've seen enough YouTube videos of other guys doing it, the float trips, flying into remote Alaska, being on your own and responsible to get yourself out.
Yeah.
To me, that's just exciting. And I think, doing some sort of caribou type hunt.
That's a legit hunt.
Yeah.
Like that's
so again, that kind of falls into the dream hunt kind of thing. But also I think that would be so fun to go after those caribou out there. I mean, they're just amazing animals.
I think that's a doable hunt. Like
absolutely.
Like grizzly hunt that's far out there. It
is far out there,
but like Brooks Range caribou, I think is within reach for you to be able to do that.
Yeah. So I think, that one gets me excited.
Those planes that have those big, they call them tundra tires. Is that what they call those big tires on them, flying in there and just land in the middle of a
bush planes?
Yeah, bush planes. Yeah, just in the middle of nowhere and drop off and go hunt. Oh man.
Well, and it's a migration hunt too.
Yeah.
So they drop you in there ahead of the migration, and then you got it's up
whatever
to you.
Comes through. You got to
whatever comes through. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't look like it's terribly a hard hunt, other than where you're at and what you're trying to do.
It'd be a hunt that you'd have to be mentally prepared for.
Yeah.
You'd have to be proper gear because you're out there. No one's coming for you.
Right. You got to get yourself out of there.
Get yourself out. It'd be one that would be, like I said, the adventure is what gets me excited about that.
Yeah.
And, obviously, it'd be awesome to get on some great caribou.
I'd say those caribou are huge.
Yeah. I mean, they're completely different than what we hunted in Alaska.
Oh, yeah.
in Kodiak.
Yeah.
It's just different thing, different hunt. But that one is definitely up there.
Nice. Caribou didn't even make my list. And I love caribou, which is crazy. Like I said, this should have been a top 10. There's so many animals I want to put on that list. So my number 4 is actually red stag.
Oh, wow.
I know. That's why I think this would be controversial because it's so far down the list.
Yeah, that's down there.
So red stag is my ultimate dream hunt. So that's obviously why it's on the list. That's been, since I was a little kid, that's been my dream is to hunt red stag. In New Zealand. I know you can go hunt them other places. You can go to Texas and hunt them. You can go to is it Argentina that you can go hunt them, like Patagonia area, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
That would actually kind of be cool.
And I think they actually, aren't they originally from England?
I think so. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think it's hard to go there and hunt them though.
Yeah, but that's where they're,
From. But New Zealand for some reason it's always been New Zealand to me. That's where I wanted to go to hunt red stag. It sounded very just exciting, and the animals, they do it. Those antlers are the craziest things in the world. Not too crazy, like we talked in the last podcast. I don't want that 900-inch one that Indianapolis Colt is going after. Yeah. But a red stag that's a good, just solid red stag. Like I said, that's been on my bucket list for a long time. So that's a dream hunt for me. We're gonna go do that, which is still weird to say. I honestly have to pinch myself because that's just absolutely crazy. But has that always been on has that been always been a bucket list for you, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. I mean, again, just going to places, seeing
more of the adventure than the animal, or?
Yeah. Well, and to me, hunting is always about the adventure.
Yeah.
The experience. And that's where a lot of these on my lists, they make the list because of the experience tied to them. Mm-hmm. And so you think of New Zealand and you're just like, wow, that's such a cool place. Yeah. It's just one of those places that everybody talks about, hey, we go to Hawaii or we go to Mexico or we go to these other countries, we go to Europe. Yeah. And I'm like, no one ever talks about going to New Zealand. Right. And I'm like, that's just kind of this cool place down there. I want to go see it. I want to check it out. Yeah. And of course I've seen Lord of the Rings. Right. So you're like, okay, yeah.
We're really going to see it.
We're really going to see it. So I just think, my list is tied as much to the animal as the experience of hunting that animal.
Yeah. It'd definitely be a different kind of hunting experience, I think, for you and I. Different than what we've ever.
Oh, absolutely, it's going to be different.
Done. Yeah. Well, just like Alaska was to us. When we got up to Alaska, Kodiak, those mountainsides were crazy. The boulder fields were crazy. It's just a completely different landscape than what we're used to. And I think I'm assuming New Zealand's probably going to be similar.
Yeah,
just different.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Need to watch more videos.
Yeah. Counting down. A year before we know it.
I still need to send you that one of the place we're going with. But yeah, so red stag actually cleared down at 4 on my list. I imagine it's on your list somewhere, but we'll see. So, all right, number 3.
Number 3, I actually put on here Rocky Mountain elk.
Number 3?
Because I have had such amazing experiences hunting elk. I mean, and those who have not archery elk hunted, don't know, but those who have, the adrenaline that goes through, and those. What other animal do you hunt that you can call and they will respond, and not only respond, they will challenge you?
Right. Turkeys.
Well, okay,
is turkey on your list?
No, it's not on my list. So to me, that's the reason it made the list.
Yeah.
There's not. I mean, there's
nothing.
Well, red stags maybe. I guess they do.
And moose, you know, but they don't really challenge you.
They don't really challenge you like an elk. And I mean, I've been in the woods and we've called elk, and we've had elk coming screaming, raking trees, doing that. Mm-hmm. They are
peeing
amazing
all over themselves.
They're amazing animals.
Oh yeah.
And we're blessed enough to have opportunity to hunt them almost every single year.
You know, and I've talked to, so doing this podcast, I think one of my biggest blessings of doing this podcast is I've talked to people all over the country. Yeah. You know, and in fact, was it Kentucky or Tennessee that they really, oh no, it was Missouri. They released or started doing elk hunt in Missouri. And so I did a podcast with one of the biologists out there. And like, he's talking about like how lucky we are. And like, we take it for granted. We don't realize what we have here in the West. Like to have elk right here is a big deal.
No, that's why you get, I mean, non-residents come from all over the country.
Yeah.
To come out to Colorado, to Wyoming, to Utah, to any of these places to hunt elk. And it's just, again, my species again is tied to that experience of hunting them.
Yeah.
And you and I have been on elk hunts together, and we've had amazing things happen. And
we have.
And so it's just, so that's the reason it made it. It's a majestic animal that you've got total respect for, where they live.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's funny that you say that people come from other states, because I remember I think it was the first year we went to Colorado. Well, yeah, it was the first year we did Colorado elk as our group, you know, and Lee and I had shot our bulls and took them down to the truck.
Oh yeah.
And people, I mean, they were from everywhere. Mississippi, Tennessee, Illinois.
They thought you guys walked on water.
Dude, we were rock stars walking into that place.
I mean, you got fed dinner.
We did.
Everything. They thought you guys were the coolest thing, bringing elk off the mountain.
Well, the other thing that's cool is we had our llamas too, you know. We're hauling them down on the llamas, 2 great bulls on the backs of these llamas, and everybody just like, we had everybody on that trailhead, which we're talking a lot of people.
Yeah, there was a lot of people that
just
trailhead.
Surrounded us. Oh man, Lee and I had a rodeo with freaking. Oh, what was our lead? Not
Alamosa.
Alamosa. Boy, Alamosa. Ooh.
Yep.
I'd like to turn her into meat one of these days. But anyways, we did. We were rock stars as we came in, but it's because people from all over the country coming to Colorado for a chance to hunt elk. Yep. There was a couple other elk at the trailhead, but they were just little things.
Yeah.
When Lee and I walked in with those 2, there's like, holy cow! Not that they were 400-inch bulls, but
we had to work for them.
We did have to work for them.
Yep.
Pulled Lee's out of Hell's Canyon or whatever we called that place.
Oh, way down the bottom of that thing.
That was terrible. Lost your rangefinder.
Found my rangefinder by some miracle.
I can't believe it.
Good thing I had my tracking on Onyx.
Onyx, thank you very much. Not only saved the podcast, but you saved Chad's
followed my
finder.
track back up.
Those tracks are, man, they can be priceless.
Yeah.
Well, in fact, I was telling you about running into that guy that hunts Idaho from Washington. And if I didn't have my track going that night, because it started snowing and it was dark, if I didn't have my track going, I would have never found my way back to the truck that night. But that track saved my life. So, Onyx, thanks, guys. Okay, number 3 for me is moose.
Wow, it's dropped on your list.
I know. Moose has been number 1. Well, and if I go to dream hunts, it's probably second under red stag.
Okay.
Moose should be on everybody's list. Honestly, and you know better than most because you've hunted them a couple times and harvested an amazing moose. But the reason that moose has hit my podium here at number 3, just because it is a dream hunt and it's because it's something I really want to do. The reason it's not higher on the list is because I don't know what it's like to hunt moose.
Yeah.
So to me, it's still that dream. It's still that I don't know what to expect with it. So it's
well, if you'd have came with me last fall, then
if I would have got an invite,
yeah.
Then, you know.
So again, it's one of those amazing animals that we're lucky enough to have around here.
Yeah, it is.
So
I wish we had the opportunity to hunt them closer to home more often. You know, it really is once in a lifetime.
It is. Yep.
But you know, for you to go to Canada and do that, and again, if you guys haven't heard that story, listen to the last podcast that we did. But for you to be able to go and do that, it was still something you could drive to do. It's still something that is within reach. Going back to the grizzly bear,
yeah, it is. Absolutely.
Might be out there a little bit. Moose is within reach, and so I do feel like it's on the list and is in reach, but it still is a dream hunt, and I'm not sure what to expect on it. But for me, that one, again, kind of going to what you're saying, is it's more the adventure on that one too.
Yeah.
Like I want to hunt them in a place that is just a place I've never hunted them before. And like your story, hunting them on lakes and stuff like that, that's just crazy to me.
Yep.
So yeah, starting my podium is moose.
Okay.
So, all right, number 2.
Well, number 2 for me is stag, red stag.
I know your list.
We already talked about that. Yeah.
I know your whole list now.
You know my whole list now? Yeah, because you know what my number 1 is.
Yeah,
probably.
I do.
So, yeah, I mean, again, same thing like you mentioned earlier. Again, it's just one of those, cool hunts, cool animals. I think the reason it's higher up on my list is just because of the fact that we don't have the opportunity to hunt them,
Yeah.
really, unless you go out where they're at. And so,
yeah,
a little more elusive.
Yeah. It's not something you don't see that on everybody's wall,
No.
You can go into a lot of homes around here and you'll see a bunch of animals, but red stag you don't see very often.
Exactly.
So, man, I like how we went very different on these lists, which is really good. I mean, that's really good because, good conversation and a little controversial. And so number 2 for me is mule deer.
Yeah, you've always been a mule deer. I'm not surprised by that.
I love mule deer.
Yeah, you do love mule deer.
I absolutely love. So the reason let me get my soapbox for a minute here. So the reason I love mule deer is just because they're so unique. Okay, so your deer right here, got him in Arizona, very cool deer. And I was sitting at the taxidermist with Truce, and we were talking about your deer here. And I don't know, do you know what he scored? I don't know if we scored him.
I don't know if we ever scored him.
But that didn't really matter. Like as we're looking at this mule deer, he's so unique. And if you guys haven't seen the video of Chad taking this deer, it is the coolest archery shot in the world.
I was lucky. Sorry.
Don't say that.
I practice a ton, but hey, sometimes luck comes into it. So,
well, we were in his place that we didn't want him to
good.
run, and so Chad just made sure he made a good shot to make sure that deer didn't run a long ways.
Yeah, we didn't want to chase him. That's true.
Yeah, so dropped him right where he was at with a bow, which you don't see very often. But so, okay, going back to my soapbox. So the thing I like about mule deer so much is just how unique they are.
Yeah.
None of them are the same. It's like human beings or whatever. They're all just so different. You can look at a lot of different animals and they all look the same. You look at a 600-inch red stag, it's just crazy. They're just crazy. But a mule deer is just so unique. A couple of years ago, I was able to take a guy. I guided a guy in Utah, and he shot a 224-inch mule deer.
Yeah,
and it was just a beautiful thing. It was so unique, has so much different character. Not crazy character like a stag does, but just a bunch of character everywhere. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous animal. And also another reason they hit my list is because it is something that I've hunted my entire life, and most of my memories with hunting is mule deer.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. It's the animal I've hunted most of my life.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. I grew up hunting as a kid and lots of mule deer experiences. And they're, they reign supreme as well. I mean, they're out there. There's some crazy character. There's some fun animals. There's some tough hunts.
We've been on some tough hunts for mule deer.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. And they can get, very unique. They're all different.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so mule deer is synonymous with hunting. When I think of hunting, it's just because it's what I've done my whole life, mule deer. So that's why it's so high up on my list is for that reason. So,
all right.
Okay. Number 1, I already know. So
number 1, yeah. So Yukon moose.
Oh, Yukon moose. Okay.
Yes.
Not Canadian moose.
Well, I've done that.
Yeah.
No, I just feel like Yukon moose are, they're the biggest.
They're the top of the top.
They're the top of the top.
Yeah. And I guess when I put moose, that's really what I'm looking
at.
Yeah,
and that's going to be a hunt that if I'm ever blessed enough to have the opportunity to do so, it's going to be, that's like, to me, that is like
the pinnacle
of those,
Yeah.
They live in some of the toughest country and they're some of the largest animals out there roaming. And so anyway, it's always been like my number one for a long time.
Yeah, that's like I said, moose has been, and dream hunts, moose is up there. I mean, it really is for me. Like you said, they live in the craziest places. And the thing about the places that they live, it's not something that you can just back a side-by-side up to and throw it in the back of the side-by-side. You're putting that thing on your back and you're hauling that thing out miles.
Yep.
And how much did you say your moose hung? What was the hanging weight on your moose?
Oh, it was over 300 pounds. I think it was like 380 pounds.
So meat-wise,
quarters.
You're looking at hundreds of pounds of just meat that you got to put in your pack.
Now was deboned.
That's crazy.
That was deboned meat, so it was a lot. Yeah, I mean, they're until you walk up on one laying on the ground, you really can't fathom the size.
See, I've never done that.
I mean, you can almost drive a car under them. They're standing there.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah,
they stand so tall.
Yeah,
and so yeah, they're just you talk about mule deer, you talk about elk, you talk about antelope, all these other animals. You hunt them every year,
right?
Moose.
But see, that's why they're on my list, is because I get to hunt them.
Well, and there's definitely some truth to that. That's for sure. But yeah, they're just one of those things. They're such a cool animal.
Yeah, that's why I kind of like that we did this list this way, because that's why it can be so different, because we're thinking of our dream hunts, but also just other factors that make game species so special. Things that we've done,
Yeah, I mean, I've hunted elk.
Yeah.
Tons.
Yeah.
It's still on my list because they're such a cool animal to hunt.
Yeah. But moose, Yukon moose would be pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Those big old, like,
anybody want to make some donations, we'll go do that.
We're going to start a GoFundMe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you looked into that? What does a hunt like that cost? A Yukon moose?
Oh, I've seen it well over 20 grand.
Goodness gracious.
I've got us a hookup though, Taryn.
You do?
Yeah. I'm working it for next year.
That's right.
So we'll see.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I might have an option for a DIY.
That would be sweet.
Yukon. Well, it'd be Alaska moose.
Yeah.
Which pretty much the same thing.
I was gonna say it still would be that same size.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Not to be in the actual Yukon or British Columbia, but it'd be
still the same species.
Yeah, Alaska.
So be like that one in the airport there in Alaska.
Yeah.
I think it's huge.
Well, did you see that one when we were flying back that they were trying to load in the compartment when we were flying back from Alaska? I was sitting over the wing and I saw them, or not over the wing, but up, and they were trying to load this set of antlers into the
cargo
airplane.
hole.
Oh, it was huge.
Oh gosh,
they couldn't get it in.
Did you send me a picture of that? I don't know that you
No,
did.
I only took a picture of it. But but I saw it because they had it all wrapped up.
Oh,
and because you have to have all the points covered and shrink wrapped and all this and that. And I could tell this is a moose paddle.
Yeah,
and it was not collapsed. Like it was still on the cap.
Well, so they didn't cut it?
No.
They didn't separate it? Oh,
and they were trying to get it on there.
Oh, geez. You had to put that under there?
Yeah.
Well,
there's a reason, like if you look at Alaskan Airlines or Delta Airlines that fly up there, they have a rule to only fly back one set of antlers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because they take up so much space.
Oh, yeah. You wouldn't have any space for bags or anything. You put a bunch of those in there.
So, so you might want to come up with plan B. You may have to air freight it back.
Yeah. Could do that. That'd be expensive too, though.
Yeah.
Of course, if you got the money to go on that hunt, you gotta have money to do whatever you need to do with that thing.
It's like we talked about last time. They get you in there on the hunt, but then you still got to figure out, hey, you got all this stuff back.
Yeah, and taxidermy.
And
I can only imagine what that moose is costing to taxidermy.
Yeah.
My neighbor, he shot was it a desert bighorn? I can't remember if it was a desert or a rocky bighorn 2 years ago, and he did a full body mount on it.
Full body?
Full body.
Oh, wow.
Well, it was very unique because it was, it had to have been a Rocky. It was completely white. It was white, maybe not quite as white as a Dall sheep, but they like all the biologists knew about it. They called it the white sheep. But he was lucky enough to harvest it.
Wow.
And so he's like, yeah, I got a full body mount this thing. I won't tell you what that costs on the podcast, but it was a lot of money.
Well, I think sheep just in general are expensive taxidermy because the antlers you have to do different than you do with, because they're horns.
Because it's a horn. Yeah, it's a horn, not an antler. But yeah, that's what I heard, that the sheep are a little bit more expensive. Before I go to my number one, is sheep. It's not on your list.
Yeah, again, it's just one of those things. Like I've seen them. Like I'd love to hunt. Goat, no, I don't really have it.
Really? No goat.
Yeah, bighorn sheep. I mean, I'm building points. I'm gonna eventually draw it in Colorado. It'd be a fun hunt, but it just, I don't know. Yeah, it didn't really make my list.
Huh.
It would be in the top 10 for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
But,
definitely.
yeah, and maybe it's just because of I'm naive and I don't know that much about them. I've never hunted them, so I don't really know.
Yeah, that's true.
But I guess I haven't hunted Yukon moose either, so I can't say that.
But you've hunted moose, so you kind of know what
Yeah,
it's
that's true.
kind of like.
Yeah.
And, well, I mean, I'd love to have my Grand Slam sheep. I mean, that'd be cool. Hang on the wall.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever. You know, to have all four.
No, it'll happen eventually.
But, you know, the thing about sheep is, like, a lot of people want to go hunt in that environment. I would much rather hunt in timber and trees and stuff like that rather than rocks and nasty. Yeah. Like, I mean, I'd love to do it, but if I could pick where I wanted to hunt, give me the timber and the trees and the wilderness.
Yeah, and I mean, there's still opportunity, I think, to hunt bighorn sheep in that type of country. I mean, I've seen them.
That's true.
Goat, on the other hand, I mean, they are going to be crazy high. And I don't know. I mean, goat, again, to me, really has never got me too excited. Frank shot 2 of them.
That's true.
He can't draw a moose tag, but he can draw 2 goats tag.
Yeah. He's going to draw some serious tags here in these coming years. So
yeah, he's. But
Huh. Well, my number 1 is elk.
Oh wow.
Yep, the elk is my number 1 animal.
Yeah.
And going back to what you talked about with elk, like they're like that experience of hunting elk, calling them. And I probably wouldn't have had it on my list until I've learned how to call elk and have them talk to me and like being able to communicate with an animal like that in the wild. Call them in. They want to come in. They want to fight you, and they're just so aggressive and in your face. And even if you're not hunting them, you know, I'll go out every September and call elk and have them. I've called them in. Like I'd be sitting on one side of a water trough and have them come over to the other side of the water trough and just be right there screaming. In fact, funny story. So my grandpa Hunt, he's deaf, like stone deaf.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not stone deaf because sometimes he can hear little things, but he's been deaf for 30 years.
Yeah.
My brother and I took him out, kind of where we lived in Utah, and because he wanted to see some elk, and I'm like, oh yeah, let's go out in September, and we're sitting there by this tree calling, and we had this elk that was coming in, and he literally came almost face to face with my grandpa and bugled right there.
Oh no.
And you know how deaf people talk, they're not very quiet.
Yeah.
He's like, I can hear that. That elk turned around
bolted
and flew.
But it's amazing the size of those animals and how they can move so stealthily in the forest.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've been in situations where, you know, you're watching and looking at elk that are calling, and then next thing you turn around, they're right behind you.
Right.
It's like, where did you come from?
And as big as that animal is, how, like you said, stealth. Like, how can they be that quiet that you don't hear them coming? I shot an elk at 5 feet one time. I was behind a tree, and I could hear the cows a little ways up the hill, you know, making their little noises. And so I drew. It was archery hunting, and didn't hear a thing. And all of a sudden, that bull stepped right out, like seriously 5 feet in front of me. Well, just far enough that
Good thing you had drawn.
I know if I would have been, I'd been done if I hadn't drawn. But I knew they were coming, and I knew that he would be in that. But I thought, you know, a couple of cows were probably going to go by first. Yeah. Well, he was the first one to come out, and so I just let him come out far enough that his vitals were showing.
Just like reach out and poke him.
Yeah, I really could have just. And interesting enough, the arrow didn't pass through because it didn't have enough time to build up that momentum.
Yeah.
So the arrow just kind of just stuck into him. It was the most interesting thing. Anyways, elk is again, my list is more of things I've done, you know, and experiences and memories that I have with certain animals, along with some of the dream hunts as well. But to be able to hunt elk every year and experience them and be with them and in their environment, they're an amazing animal. So
yeah, the list would definitely be different if we were focused strictly on dream hunts.
Oh yeah.
Versus, because we're blessed enough to have plenty of opportunity to hunt a lot of these animals every year.
Yeah. Again, we take it for granted, I think.
We do. Yeah. Especially, you know, some of the stuff that's going on in this country. I mean, some of those opportunities may be going away.
Yeah.
It's getting tougher and tougher.
Well, look what COVID did to us. You know, when COVID happened, you couldn't go hunt anywhere. You know, you couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And that could happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we got to take advantage of what we have and what's in our backyard and be able to do these things because they're pretty special. Interesting. No African animals on our list either.
No.
Is Africa on your? I mean, we talked about it at the expo a couple of years ago, but is
Dream hunts. Not. I mean, yeah. Again, I think it'd be fun to go out there for the experience.
Yeah.
Do I want to bring home and put some of those animals on my wall? Not really.
Yeah. I think if I wanted to put something on my wall, I'd go to Texas and shoot one.
Yeah, there's some exotics you can get here locally. Because you have to think about it. I mean, like you said, you can go out there and you can hunt those for a reasonable price.
Right.
But you gotta get them home. That's tricky.
Well,
so
didn't Lee go out there on a safari where he just
he just went to Tanzania on a safari. He said it was awesome.
See, I would almost rather do that.
Yeah.
And then if there's an animal that I like, a black buck or something that I want to put on my wall, go somewhere, within the States and do something like that just to have it on my wall kind of a thing.
Yeah. Because, Candace said the same thing. She was like, oh, yeah, I talked to so-and-so and they just got back from an African safari. And it'd just be cool to go see those places and see those animals. And I didn't really have much of a desire to take a zebra or anything like that. You know what I mean? Just not that... I wouldn't. No. If the opportunity presented itself.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm just like, I'd just rather see them in the wild and respect them for what they are.
We looked at that one, at the expo, and I mean, it's not a bad price.
Oh, yeah. They got some great packages.
Yeah, to do it. So at some point, maybe on the list, but.
Well, and two, you got to think about that as well. Like, they have so many struggles out there on that continent to preserve their game with poachers and everything else. And, I think the hunters that do go out there do a really good job of helping with that.
Yeah.
The money that they put into the economy and stuff like that really helps. So there's some things to think about there, going out and helping where you can with the conservation.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's a hard deal. James Reese, remember the book? We talked about the terminal list, he was what is it? PH? Is that what they call him? Professional hunter out there?
Yeah. That's what they call him, PH. Yeah. He was
that's what they
essentially a guide.
Yeah. They do a lot for conservation. So
going after the poachers.
Yep. Man, interesting. Well, that's cool. I hope you guys enjoyed that list. I think these lists, I think that's fun to look at these and how different they are. And I'd like to know, like I said, what's on everybody else's list. Because now, like, as you were going through your list, I thought, oh man, I should have put a predator on my list and a couple other things there's a lot of animals that I'd really like to hunt, but elk and deer, man, they're still at the forefront of my mind all the time.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
That's good. Chad's over here dreaming a lot bigger than I dream. Cool. Well, Chad, appreciate you jumping on another podcast with me. It's fun.
It was fun. Thank you.
I'm going to make Chad do this every time I'm in Colorado. When I come out here for work, we're going to record some podcasts.
There you go. Yeah.
So
no, it's fun. There's always fun things to talk about. A lot of things going on in the hunting world.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll probably have to get a little bit more serious on some of our podcasts coming up, talking about a couple different things that are going on. I'd like to pick your brain on a couple different issues.
Yeah.
I mean, I just did a podcast on your guys' wolf situation out here in Colorado and the impact that's having, and there's a couple other things that we probably ought to chat about and get some knowledge on.
Okay.
So, and we'll get one. We'll get a podcast or two in New Zealand while we're there, and TAC. We'll get some podcasts there.
Got TAC coming up.
So
okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Chad's about to fall asleep, so we're gonna go ahead and end this podcast. I kept him up way past his bedtime. Our watch isn't even working. It's so late. So thanks, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
All right. See you guys.